Fairfield Planning Commission. Mr. Feinstein, may we have the roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Singh?
Here.
Commissioner Reese? Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Paul?
Here.
Commissioner Greavy?
Here.
Commissioner Werblin?
Here.
And Chairperson Matthews.
Present. Commissioner Reese, may we ask you to lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, now just a brief bit of information regarding providing public comments. Persons wishing to address the Planning Commission on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission may do so, provided no action may be taken on off-agenda items except as authorized by law. Off-agenda items from the public will be taken under consideration without discussion by the Commission and may be referred to staff. Comments will be accepted in person or via Zoom. To speak on an agenda item in person, please complete a speaker's card, one of these green cards, and give it to the front desk before the meeting or at the latest prior to the time for the public comment on that item. When joining via Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone to request to speak. You will be called on by name and will have 3 minutes to speak. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, there are no changes to the agenda, but I do want to just note one item. Item A tonight, you will be selecting your chair and vice chair for the coming year. Just to be clear, that whoever is selected as the chair and vice chair, you would be seated at the next meeting. So for tonight, Commissioner Matthews would continue as the chair to finish out his one-year selection in that seat. So next meeting would be the first meeting that the new chair and vice chair would sit and run the meeting.
Very good, thank you.
Otherwise, no changes to the agenda.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Now we have approval of the minutes for the regular Planning Commission meeting of June 12th, 2024. Are there any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make the motion.
And a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Pardon me. Public comments. This is a time.
Chairman Matthews?
Yes.
There are 2 abstentions. I don't know if you heard this.
Good point. Thank you for
Noted.
noting that. Public comments. This is a time for the public to speak on items not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. I now open the public comment period. I have no green cards, and I see no one in the audience, and I see no one online. So I will now close the public comment period. Now we move into scheduled matters. For each item, there will be a presentation by city staff. For items that involve applicant requests, the applicant will be asked to address the commission if they so desire. I will then open the public comment period via Zoom and in-house. I will close the comment period after all comments have been provided and after all of our questions regarding the testimony during the comment period have been answered. After the comment period is closed, the commission will deliberate on the item and may have additional questions for staff. We cannot take additional testimony or questions from the public after the comment period is closed. First item is item A, election of the chair and vice chair for our planning commission meetings for the coming fiscal year. At this time, I'd like commissioners to nominate a candidate for the role of chairperson of the planning commission.
Chair, I would like to nominate George Kennedy for the chair.
Very good. Are there any other nominations?
I would like to self-nominate, if that is
Yes, that is,
appropriate. I'd like to self-nominate for chair.
so we have two nominations. Are there any others? Okay. Now we'll move to vote. Do we vote individual by indivial then, right?
Well, we have two nominations. I think we had the first nomination. I think we're looking for a majority, hopefully, for one of those candidates. I think we can.
Most recent, I believe. First.
Yeah, the most recent one first, which would be Commissioner Warblin.
Okay. Shall we can we do a roll call and have commissioners indicate who they would vote for or not?
Yeah.
You have to allow public comment first before you take action.
I'm sorry, say
You
again.
have to allow public comment first before you take action.
Really?
Yeah, so open for any public comment, and then you can by roll call.
Okay. I open nomination for public comment. I see no one in the audience and no one's online, so I close the public comment period for nominations.
Yeah.
And now my question is, can we just have a roll call by commissioner as to who they want to vote for?
Yeah, I think you should have them vote on each individual nomination, so Commissioner Warblin first, all in favor?
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor for Commissioner Warblin?
Looking for a majority.
Aye.
Okay, we have
Aye.
2 votes for Commissioner Warblin.
Okay.
All in favor for Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
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 3.
So Commissioner Reese, did we hear? Okay. So Commissioner Kennedy has been selected as chair for this year. Now we'll enter into the nomination for vice chair, and I'd like to nominate Commissioner Warblin for that role. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, do I open the public? I now open public comment for the vice chair role. I see no one in the audience or online, so I close the public comment period. All in favor of Commissioner Warblin as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think it's, did you vote for yourself?
Aye.
So we now have chair and vice chair selected to take effect as Mr. Feinstein has noted for the next meeting. Did we handle that correctly? Yes. Okay. All right. Moving on. Item B. Our next item is a public hearing on the request by Mick DuPont and Zachary Wright of 360 Campus Fairfield LLC to amend the zoning ordinance to create a land use definition for, quote, mini storage interior, unquote, and conditionally permit the use of the Industrial Business Park IBP district. Our presenter is Jonathan Adkins. Please proceed.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Tonight, I will ask you to consider a zoning ordinance amendment request that does the following. One, creates two land use definitions for mini storage to differentiate between interior and exterior facilities. Two, permits interior mini storage facilities in the IBP or Industrial Business Park District with a use permit. And three, amendments that would modify multiple land use zoning ordinance land use tables to identify where interior mini storage facilities can be established. In January 2024, Mick DuPont and Zachary Wright of 360 Campus Fairfield LLC filed a use permit to convert an existing 71,000 square foot office building at 360 Campus Lane into an interior mini storage facility, or indoor mini storage facility. The subject property, which is zoned IBP district, does not permit any mini storage facilities. In April of 2024, the applicants filed a zoning ordinance amendment application to create a land use definition for mini storage interior and to also conditionally permit the use in the IBP district. The use permit for this office building conversion is subject to a separate zoning administrator approval at the planning division staff level. It should be noted that this use permit application would only proceed with city council approval of the zoning ordinance amendment request. And this slide right here, it shows you the existing office building at 360 Campus Lane, as well as a site map, just for the sake of context. The following is the existing land use definition for mini storage. The zoning ordinance, as mentioned before, does not differentiate between indoor or outdoor mini storage facilities. Mini storage uses can be low one-story facilities with exterior roll-up doors and drive-up access to individual storage units. This use can also be a multi-story facility where individual storage units are climate controlled and only accessible from inside of the building. Many storage uses are prohibited in all zoning districts except for the CS or Service Commercial District, where they are permitted by right, and the IL or Limited Industrial District, where they are conditionally permitted. Staff determined that an indoor facility is the only type of mini storage that can be considered appropriate for the IBP district. Properties that are zoned IBP district are typically developed as part of a master planned business and industrial park in a campus-like setting. Uses typically range from administrative and professional offices, research and development, business support services, and some limited warehousing, distribution, and manufacturing facilities. Staff supports the creation of a mini storage interior land use definition. Interior mini storage facilities would be characterized as follows. Individual storage spaces are climate controlled and are only accessible from inside of the building. There are a limited number of loading doors to the outside, essentially common loading areas. A caretaker's residential unit is within the building, and retail sales of moving and storage supplies would be accessory uses to the facility. Moving trucks and trailer rentals and the outdoor storage of moving equipment, vehicles, trucks, RVs, and boats storage are prohibited under this land use definition. The approved Storage 360 project on Horizon Drive largely embodies characteristics of an interior mini storage facility. The Planning Commission approved this project back in February of 2020, but construction has not yet commenced. And you'll note on the right-hand side of the slide, basically all of the units are accessible from inside of the building, showing that kind of multi-story climate-controlled character. Staff also supports creating the following definition for an exterior mini storage facility. Exterior mini storage facilities are characterized as follows. Individual storage spaces have exterior or outdoor access. A caretaker's residential unit, moving trucks and trailer rentals, and the retail sales of moving and storage supplies can be accessory to the facility. It should be noted that establishments where the primary use is outdoor vehicle storage are prohibited even as part of an exterior mini storage facility. The approved StoreQuest Express project at 1094 Horizon Drive is a great example of an exterior mini storage facility. The Planning Commission also approved this project. It was back in April of 2022, and the construction is nearly complete. The creation of both interior and exterior mini storage definitions would require amendments to several land use tables in our zoning ordinance. The following amendments include amending Table 25-1 to prohibit mini storage exterior and mini storage interior in all residential zoning districts. Currently, mini storage facilities are prohibited across the board in residential zones. Amending Table 25-9 to permit mini storage exterior and mini storage interior by right in the CS district. And currently, mini storage facilities are permitted use in this zone. Table 25-H1 would also need to be amended to prohibit mini storage exterior and mini storage interior uses in all Heart of Fairfield plan zoning districts. And it should be noted that currently mini storage is not a permitted use at all in any of those zoning districts. Lastly, Table 25-11 would be amended as follows: to conditionally permit mini storage interior in the IBP district and to create a minimum separation requirement of a half-mile radius to avoid overconcentration. This table would also be amended to conditionally permit mini storage exterior and mini storage interior in the IL district. And as noted, mini storage facilities are permitted with a use permit in the IL district. The zoning ordinance amendments are exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, under Section 15305, which involves minor alterations to land use regulations. It should be noted that subsequent applications for mini storage facilities, particularly in the IBP district and elsewhere in the city, would require their own environmental review. Staff recommends that the Commission adopt resolution number 2024-05. This would forward a recommendation to the City Council to approve zoning ordinance amendment OA 2024-002. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the Commission. I also want to note that the applicant team is in attendance and is also available for any questions on the request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. As always, a very professional presentation. Again, I remind the commissioners, this is the time for questions for staff, and we'll hold deliberation until after the public hearing. We'll start with you, Commissioner Singh. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much. I do not have any questions. Jonathan, I thought your presentation was very focused and concise and communicated all the information appropriately. So no questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Reese?
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Kennedy?
I have some questions, but it'll be after the public hearing because I have them for the
Very
applicant.
good.
So.
Yes, same thing with me. I'll have questions after the public hearing.
Commissioner Greavy? Okay. Commissioner Werba?
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions. Does this amendment effect, I noticed it was called out with the Heart of Fairfield. Does this have anything, do we need to look at the train station specific plan? Did I get that right?
It doesn't affect the train station specific plan. There is a mini storage facility, existing one in that plan area, but these amendments don't affect that situation.
Okay, thank
Are-
you.
Are you suggesting that we might want to expand it to that?
No, I just noticed that we called out the Heart of Fairfield plan, so I just wanted to understand for that area if it was going to be included or excluded, and did that need to be explicit or implicit?
Yeah, the Heart of Fairfield has some of the more traditional zoning applied to it that's covered by those other non-Heart of Fairfield regulation areas. The Heart of Fairfield has its own unique special zoning. We didn't create that kind of zoning out there. So you've got industrial zoning, you got residential zoning. So the regulations that Jonathan laid out already cover the train station. We don't need to create special regulations for that area.
Okay. And with this request, this request is only coming because of the applicant? It's not just that the city is thinking, you know what, we should have two designation for our storage facility, both interior and exterior. So with that in and of itself be addressed? Or is this, if that is addressed, it must include the applicant request? And
Sorry.
no, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Sorry for interjecting. So this request initially came from the applicant. We received an application, as noted in the presentation, to convert the existing office building. And given that mini storage is not a permitted use in the IBP district, staff determined that we didn't want a situation where somebody can do like a traditional exterior type mini storage facility in IBP. So a major part of our consideration for this application for the use permit was that we need to amend the zoning ordinance to conditionally permit this use and to create a separate land use category. So really it came from the application. Had this application not come in, maybe we would have had that consideration, but this was directly what prompted creating the two land use definitions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I do not have any questions, so I will now open the public hearing period. I do have a speaker card from Mick DuPont and invite you to come forward as representative of the applicant.
Thank you, Commission, and thank you, Mr. Atkinson, for your presentation. My name is Mick DuPont. I'm with 360 Campus Fairfield, LLC. What predicated this zoning ordinance amendment application was we invested in the building located at 360 Campus about 4 years ago, and we've been in active pursuit of a traditional office tenant. We're now going on year 3 of trying to find an office tenant, and we're looking for solutions to put our building into use. And working with Mr. Atkinson and his team, I think what he's put forth is a very elegant solution to a land use that isn't currently contemplated in the general plan. There is no mini storage interior. And what we would like to have the flexibility to do with our building and others in the IBP district as well is to do what we would presumably market as an upscale indoor storage facility. So no sound walls, no barbed wire, no truck rentals, interior storage, which would preserve the look of the building, which would preserve the feel of the IBP district that we're in, and it would allow for conversion back if the market changes in the future. So thank you for the staff report. Fully supportive of the staff report and its findings. I'm in alignment with the resolution, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. We'll go around the horn here again for any questions.
No questions for the applicant.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
I have questions. So
Thanks for coming. I'm pretty familiar with these indoor facilities. Last 14 years, I'd worked in Marin County, where there's several of these, and I have one actually right next door to my office. They're very valuable. I like that a lot because smaller units as opposed to the larger outdoor facilities, so people or business can keep records there and stuff. So my question for you is, it's climate controlled, I understand. Is wine storage going to be part of that?
Wine storage is an option, and there's a little bit of that in the Napa market now. I don't know that there's any in Fairfield or in the Green Valley area. We'd like to bring that. We've doodled possible logos that include little clusters of grapes and things to try to attract that kind of tenant. We probably would not do a tasting. I've seen some of those in Napa where people bring friends. I don't think that's the business model that we would pursue. But we got to find an operator too.
Right.
So-
Yeah, the ones in like Marin, people have their private collections, we'll call it, in some of these smaller units, or they'll rent as a group of a unit where it's climate controlled for the wines, temperature controlled. So because I don't see that in this county at all, so that's why I was curious about that. And then access. Is access 24/7 through card lock? How's the access going to be on the interior?
So we'd have to look at that. I think that is industry norm for tenants to have access to their storage whenever
Both ways.
whenever they need to get in. We're looking at using the existing points of access to that building, which there's two. We would put our office, or our operator would put their office behind the main pair of doors. So there wouldn't be any modifications to the exterior. I think we would have to work out what the access would be. We would certainly make sure any operator had security or surveillance or a patrol or somebody on staff around the clock in the event that there was ever any incident. We're hoping to bring some use to that building that would deter people from being there when they're not supposed to.
Right. So on a side note, I really appreciate, because I know that's been vacant for quite some time, but I appreciate the fact that you guys have kept it up 100%, that it looks like it's a occupied building, the landscaping is all, because I live out in that area, and so I appreciate that. So thank you very much, and I have no other questions. You answered them.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Paul?
Yes, I do have a question. Since it's a big place, close to 72,000 square feet, so how many units we are contemplating? How many of each square footage units we want to be making?
Just doing some rough sketches, and we'd have to study what the marketable kind of range should be for the size of a unit. But I think they are going to be on the smaller side. We're not gonna solicit tenants that need an exterior roll-up door where they're bringing a big truck. This is stuff that you're going to hand cart in from a parked vehicle, take a service elevator up, and go to a smaller door. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 to 700, and those are 10 by 10, 5 by 10. There's even some smaller ones that we've seen. Students from time to time, college students, will pack their, I happen to know this, dorm belongings into a pickup truck and put them in a 5 by 5 storage unit and stack things up for the summer. So it's in that range, sir.
Okay. And my second question, since it's going to be interior mini storage, and still when people or the renters would come, they're going to bring trucks, trailers to load, unload their product. But basically, they won't be parked there overnight. They'll come in and out, right?
That is
you won't be
correct.
renting any trucks or trailers there, period, right?
That is correct, sir. We wouldn't allow tenants
Still they're going to be egress and egress of all the trucks and trailers right there.
So I need to work out exactly how we're going to do that. We're still, just like any other property owner in the IBP district, subject to a separate application, a separate use permit to address those things. I may need to put some additional pairs of doors. I have some additional pairs of doors on the building now, and I might need to just have some ramps or something very subtle that you wouldn't see, that wouldn't change the look, that would allow people to park safely. We're over-parked for this use, so I have plenty of flexibility with how we lay the parking lot out. But we certainly wouldn't allow anybody to stay in the parking area overnight or to leave their vehicle in the parking area overnight, and we're not offering secured vehicle storage.
And like Mr. Kennedy said, there has to be some kind of timings. We have to specify time since it's in a different zone in IBP, so it doesn't interfere with the other offices or the campus timings of the other tenants around. So do you have any specific timings? So like trucks were going to be coming early in the morning or late in the day or during the day? Or?
Commissioner Paul, if I may, I just wanted to note that thank you for your questions. Those are actually questions that will be fleshed out as part of the review and processing of the use permit application that the applicant filed. And that application only moves forward if these amendments are adopted. But those are questions that will be considered as part of that separate application process.
Okay. Then no other.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, and we'll make a note that that's something that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, I think everyone else has asked the questions that I had questions and concerns too. Obviously, you're aware that, truck traffic over in that area is something that the community is going to scream at. So we need to keep that to a minimum somehow. I love the idea of wine storage. I hope my wife doesn't hear about it, but that's a different story. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I commend the innovation and flexibility, because that's just costly to have an empty building, and trying to come up with ways to secure that and have revenue. Unfortunate that, in this economy, post-pandemic, there isn't a slew of people needing office buildings so we can have increased jobs. So I understand that. And I think when this is probably more like what John's saying, the applicant question, but I think intense security would definitely be needed just from the look and feel, and especially when we talk about wine storage. So thank you for your innovation.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I'll just echo, one, the upkeep has been very good. I pass by there, as many of us do, almost every day for one reason or another. I'll also note that in the lake area, just on the other side of the lake area, the sort of pond, I guess I would say, it has traditionally been a homeless camp, and I know from time to time in your parking lot that has been an issue. So echoing Commissioner Werblin's comments about security, I've been acquainted with that building for about 8 years, and to my knowledge, there's been one tenant in there, Solano Economic Development, which moved out many, many years ago. And so, again, being creative with the use is a good approach for this. So we have no other questions at this point. I'll now thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I have no other green cards, and I see no other hands raised online, so I will close the public comment period. And I will now return it to the commission for deliberation.
Yes, I just want to say that this zoning ordinance amendment by staff was incredibly well thought out, and it was well thought out for 3 distinct reasons. Number one is that there was a very specific difference between mini storage interior and mini storage exterior. So residents around this area understand that there is not going to be exterior parking of heavy equipment, RVs, boats, and and machinery, and so that was very well thought out. Number two is that there is a separation requirement of, I believe, half a mile between each of these projects, and that's a safeguard for overconcentration. I know that just south of I-80, left of Nelson Hill Road, there's around 3 self-storage, mini storage facilities, and so I think that having a safeguard for an overconcentration is very well thought out and very, it's a proactive way of thinking about the zoning ordinance amendment and the long-term implications of future projects that may want to pursue this project. And number 3 is the adaptability. So the proposed amendment allows for the flexibility and adaptability for these IBP zoning district buildings. And I believe that that positions Fairfield well in the long term, in that it gives the property owners flexibility to change with the market demands. And that just makes the city of Fairfield overall much stronger and much more competitive compared to other cities. And so to have those three considerations in this zoning ordinance amendment was very well thought out, and something that I'm in favor of.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. Your thoughts were well presented. Any other comments from commissioners?
I'll just say that, like I said earlier, that I've had personal experience with these indoor facilities with my my previous company, where we actually had units in a couple of these units for records and stuff. And one of the units had a 501c3 organization that did free medical equipment and for needy there, and they were open, one day a week for like 3 hours. And other than that, if you weren't there that time, I was always the only person in that facility. So these units are so small that people aren't coming and going and bringing stuff and taking it, because if you figure 5 by 10, it's 50 square feet. So, it's not something where they're, it's going to be pickup type stuff. And I just, through personal experience in 14 years, I never saw a lot of traffic. So for that purpose, I love the repurpose. When we look at, instead of tearing things down and reading, this is a perfect reuse facility to do this with. So I'll be in favor of this.
If there are no other comments, may I have a motion regarding a motion to approve Resolution PC 2024-05?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Planning Commission Resolution PC 2024-05, approving staff's recommendation.
And I'll second that. And do we need to put also ordinance amendment 08-2024-002 in that same, or did they separate?
No, you're taking action on the resolution. The ordinance is an attachment to that resolution.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Good luck. Okay, our final item tonight is item C, a request by Canon Station LLC for a fifth amendment to the existing amended and restated development agreement between the City of Fairfield and Canon Station LLC. Our presenter is Maylee Sheehan. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners, everyone in the room with us tonight. My name is Maylee Sheehan, and I will be presenting your last item here. So those of you who've seen me present before, I use a lot of acronyms, so I always like to start with a cheat sheet. I will try my best to repeat the phrases, but just in case you want to jot a few notes, like a lot of city planners, I tend to speak in acronym code, so just a quick decoder here for you all. The amendment request this evening is for an agreement known as the Canon Station Development Agreement, or DA. This agreement covers a large area of land in the train station specific plan area, which generally speaking is in the northeast area of Fairfield. So on the screen here, you have an aerial of approximately the area. To your far left, you have Claybank Road. On the bottom of the screen, Airbase Parkway, and then bisecting the center is Peabody and Cement Hill Road / Vanden Road. Our applicant this evening is also the master developer for 2 of the planning areas within the specific plan, and that is what you see starred on the screen. Those neighborhoods are more commonly known as One Lake or the One Lake neighborhood. If you can actually kind of see it in this aerial that there is a very large lake park, and there are several homes already built out there and people living in the area. So before going into the amendment proposal itself, I'm just going to give a very brief summary of the specific plan and the development agreement. Approved by City Council in July of 2011, the TSSP is a diverse plan with a history that traces back approximately 13 years. Concurrent with the adoption of the specific plan, the Council also certified an environmental impact report, or an EIR, that evaluated resource impacts for the entire project area, including traffic, wetland, biological habitat, and so forth. The specific plan provides a broad framework for the overall development of the area, but it defers precise land planning to each planning area within the specific plan. And so there are 10 planning areas within the plan itself. Planning areas 1, 3, 4, and 5 that you see on the screen here are residentially zoned areas. Planning area 2 is a mixed-use residential commercial planning area, which is kind of slated for essentially a small downtown or plaza. And then you have planning area 6, which is carved out for industrial. Planning area 7 is dedicated for open space and park and recreation. There's a 50-acre great park in the works right now for that planning area. Planning area 8 is all open space conservation. And then planning areas 9 and 10 are not necessarily part of the specific plan. They're existing development areas that happen to be captured within this area. So shortly after the specific plan was adopted, the City Council entered into a development agreement with CANON Station LLC. That development agreement includes terms that cover planning areas 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, as we've identified on the screen. And again, CANON Station LLC is our master developer for planning areas 4 and 5, the One Lake neighborhoods. Since the agreement was entered into, it has been amended 4 times, starting in 2012. The amendments cover a collection of topics within the agreement. Just to highlight kind of key areas, there are some amendments towards the conservation requirements, infrastructure improvements, and procedural components. So now we have that groundwork covered, focusing on the core elements of the existing development agreement. An intent of a DA is for both a developer and the city to facilitate a long-range, large project with certainty, public benefit, and mutual flexibility. The CANON Station DA has several terms to achieve what the specific plan's visions entail. And so here I've listed 5 terms of that agreement. First, development rights. The DA guarantees that the master developer has the right to develop a little over 3,000 dwelling units and 4.6 million square feet of industrial. So again, that's PA 4, 5, and 6, as you saw on the past screen. The agreement also spells out a land transfer between the city and CANON Station LLC. That land transfers to facilitate public open space and parks, specifically within Planning Area 7, that 50-acre park, or the Matt Garcia Community Park, as it's been named. Number 3 here, construction of public improvements. A large component of the agreement is dedicated to identifying required infrastructure that the developer must provide in order to facilitate the planning areas. This could cover things such as a new fire station, park improvements, road improvements, utilities, etc. To pay for all that required infrastructure and municipal services like police and fire and maintenance, the development agreement outlines procedures and regulations for creating CFDs or community facility districts. And the amendment request before you tonight will touch on some of that CFD language we'll get into shortly here. And then lastly, the DA prescribes that the developer must provide over 1,000 acres of open space conservation, and that would be in that larger planning area 8. So looking at the proposed amendment, I just want to provide some foundational information on CFDs. An infrastructure CFD is a special taxing district created to finance public infrastructure and community facilities that benefit the residents within that district. Improvements may include roads, parks, fire stations, as previously mentioned. CFDs finance such projects through the issuance of municipal bonds that are then repaid over time through the special taxes that are levied against the properties within the district. I do want to note that these taxes are in addition to your regular property tax, and they are used exclusively for the terms outlined within the CFD formation documents. In this instance, Cannon Station LLC is seeking an amendment to raise the maximum combined tax rate. So that is combining the tax rate of the state's 1% property tax base and all CFDs that might be within the area. So if you take those two amounts, you put them together, currently the DA says there's a maximum amount of 1.65%, and the applicant is requesting to increase that to 1.75%. This request is to ensure that there's enough funding to support all that required infrastructure to facilitate the planning area developments. And because the actual costs of construction have significantly increased since we first entered into this development agreement, this additional percentage will give the buffer that the developer needs to complete that infrastructure. The applicant did work with their bond counsel as well as the city's bond counsel and our finance director in order to come up with this additional 0.1%. Ultimately, it was decided that that increase was sufficient enough to support the required infrastructure while also leaving capacity for any future CFDs or additional special taxes within that district. So we wanted to ensure that we're not, weighing down the residents out there with taxes. So this gives a little bit of wiggle room if for some reason in the future any additional taxes were to be proposed. And obviously striking that balance is key. So on this screen, just to illustrate a little bit of what we're talking about here, hypothetically speaking, for every $100,000 of assessed property value, the homeowner is currently paying $1,650 or 1.65. With this increase, you would see that that amount would go up by 1.7, or it would go up by 0.1% for a total of $1,750. For comparison purposes, I do just want to identify that there are other areas within the city of Fairfield that have a total tax maximum of over 2%. So this is, within that range. Obviously, it's coming in a little under, but so it wouldn't be out of reach for what is existing within the city currently. Analyzing the proposed amendment from a general plan and zoning consistency perspective, both the land use designations of the general plan and the zoning ordinance are consistent with the train station specific plan designations for residential, industrial, park, and open space. Additionally, the DA reflects that these designations are put together to implement the specific plan's vision. And so again, on the screen, the two starred areas are just focused on planning areas 4 and 5, where there's currently residential development, and those would be the properties that would be subject to the proposed 1.75% tax total. Oops, there we go. And then wrapping up the presentation, the amendment was also evaluated from an environmental perspective. In 2011, as I noted earlier, an environmental impact report was certified. That EIR analyzed the entire specific plan area. When we entered into the development agreement, we also found that it was consistent with that EIR. This proposed amendment would not create any new or unidentified environmental impacts, and therefore it's still consistent with the certified EIR. And so with that, staff is recommending that the commission adopt PC 2024-06, recommending that City Council approve the Fifth Amendment to the amended and restated development agreement. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sheehan. Very well done. Again, this is a time for questions to the staff, not deliberation. Do you have any questions? We'll start again with Commissioner Singh.
Yes, and thank you. Millie, so you covered this over, I want to say 2 to 3 slides, and I was trying my hardest to understand it, but I just couldn't, and so I'm hoping to just ask you here again, even though you covered it over 2 or 3 slides. So a CFD is a mechanism by which the developer funds the infrastructure projects within their development area, right? Which is and then attached to the property tax bill. Is that?
Somewhat. So, and Dave, please feel free to correct me if I misspeak. Essentially, your master developer goes and obtains different municipal bonds, and that helps them pay for, let's say, a new road. What they then do with the CFD is it taxes the neighborhood or the houses that are built on that street a small percentage, and then that money goes then to pay back those bonds. So in a way, it is paying for the infrastructure of that road.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
My only question is, with the previous amendments, were there any amendments increasing the tax base? I mean, the total tax amount?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when the development agreement was originally negotiated back in 2010, I'd say, and adopted in 2011, the base amount that the city set as sort of the starting point was 1.5%. So this would be the second time that we've reevaluated what the actual costs are expected to be for the infrastructure and how much tax burden would be needed from each of the homeowners in order to pay for that infrastructure. So, second time.
Thanks. And and what was the year that the,
I don't recall. The applicant may recall. I'm getting a shaking of the head. So some point between 2011 and probably 3 years ago at the most recent, somewhere in that range is when we upped it from 1.5 to 1.65.
I believe it was with the Fourth Amendment, so this is the Fifth Amendment in
Fourth
front of you.
Amendment? Okay, then that would have been roughly 3 years ago.
thank you.
Great job. No questions.
Commissioner Greavy? Commissioner Worthman?
Just another clarifying question. I remember when we were reviewing one of the train station-specific plans, and we were talking about the developer and who starts first, and then they would cover the CFDs. So is that why for CANON, since they're beginning this, that they're proposing that? Can you just share a
So I
little bit?
believe what you're recalling is in Planning Area 1, we have, I think it's 13 property owners within that planning area. And so when that master permit came in front of you, there were very intricate cost-sharing agreements that were put in place in case developer A went before developer B, how were they going to split the cost for the road? Within planning areas 4 and 5, we only have one landowner, and that's CANON Station LLC, so it actually is a little simpler in terms of the cost sharing, and so it's them as the property owners of this area that are requesting the creation of a CFD.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have no additional questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Chair Matthews. And then, Millie, please correct me if this question is outside the scope of the presentation. But is there a timeline for when the remaining development might be completed so that, is there a timeline for when the development will be completed? Because what I'm thinking about is in the future, what's stopping or like what's stopping the potential application of, or like what's stopping an application from coming in to go from 1.75 to 1.85, 1.85, 1.95. Now, I have full confidence in Canyon Station. I think they're going to get it done, but just kind of want to understand that. And
Yeah,
then please,
so-
if that's outside the scope, I'm more than happy to.
I can answer a portion of that, I think, and then maybe our applicant team can address their proposed timing for completion of the residential homes. What I will say is the development agreement has very lengthy outline for when infrastructure needs to be completed. A lot of it is tied to unit triggers and a variety of other things that are maybe a little beyond the scope of this presentation. But so we have infrastructure triggers of when that must be done. And then I'm sure our applicant can talk about the timing in which they hope to complete the residential development, the actual homes.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no additional commissioner questions for staff, I'll now open the public hearing. I have no green cards, but we'll invite the applicant to come up.
My name is Steve Ryder. I'm managing partner, McKinley Partners. We are the general partner that's overseeing the Cannon Station partnership. Thank you for entertaining this amendment. Fundamentally, just a couple clarifications. So we already issued bonds for the completion of Planning Area 4. So with respect to the project, we're really only talking about Planning Area 5, which is the new planning area, and that's 1,104 homes that we'll be building in that. We've just sold the first 2 neighborhoods of that, so we're eager to go in that planning area. We also, with respect to what these are used for, these are used for funding streets, curbs, and gutters that are publicly owned. In addition to that, the fire station, which is planned as well. One of the first series of bonds that we'll issue for this will help to fund the commitments we have to build the fire station or to contribute cash to the city in the range of $12.5 million. For the, of which we've paid a portion, but we'll go to fund that. So our first issuance is planned to be this fall. We're kind of timing it around the election, obviously, with interest rates and so on, but we want to take that to the city council so we can approve these bonds, and then the funding will occur this year, likely by November or that kind of time frame that will release the funds to fund the fire station building. But in addition to that, we will be reimbursing ourselves for the streets, curbs, and gutters and things that we're putting in that are public improvements. The effect to the homeowners is effectively on an average home price, it's about $60 extra a month by increasing it from 1.65 to 1.75. So it's in the range that we feel comfortable. The question is as to whether we would come and raise it again is highly improbable, because what we've done is we've set that for the entire planning area 5. So we've already sold and will have sold neighborhoods to builders. So the builders would not appreciate, nor would we be able to get them to adopt a higher fee for all the homes that they've already sold. So that's improbable, highly improbable that that'll happen. So this will be the end. Also, with respect to other communities, when it was adopted, the development agreement, the concerns for the city was they didn't want the total all-in tax rate for homeowners to be a high amount, and that's why it was originally established at 1.5, and we have gone up from that, but that effectively affects our market value of our homes. So there's probably a correlating decrease in the values of the home because there'll be a little more debt service, so a homeowner will figure that into the fee. So it has a way of balancing it out, but the effect for us is it allows us to access the financing market at bond tax-free rates as opposed to conventional rates that are in the market. So it's accretive to us and all to the city, and we're also excited to get to the market as soon as we can to issue those bonds. The bonds will be issued in increments and sizings, and the sizings are really about how much loan to value is there. And right now we have finished lots, or some finished lots, and a lot of vacant land. So the loan to value will be such that we won't issue a lot of the bonds. Maybe a third of the total capacity of these bonds will be issued this year. And then when we build homes and so on, there's greater valuation, which lets us to go to a Series 2 and a Series 3 to reimburse ourselves for all the public improvements we put in.
Thank you.
Any question for the applicant?
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Again, I have no speaker cards. I see no one online, so I will now close the public comment, a public hearing portion, and return it to the commission for deliberation. Any comments? If not, we can move for action, and this would be PC 2024-06.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve PC 2024-06, approving the Fifth Amendment of the Development Agreement.
And a second?
I do the second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing that development move forward. We'll now turn the time over to Mr. Feinstein for a director's report.
Yeah, I think I have 4 items here noted. First of all, want to welcome our 2 new commissioners. I think we're all aware we have 2 new faces here at the table, the dais. We have Rihanna Reese and Jay Singh. Jay, I think you're very familiar with, a regular participant here. So we're glad to have both of you with us here tonight and for the next 4 years. And congratulations to our new chair and our new vice chair. The major item I want to let you know is, I think you're all aware, for the last 3.5 years or so, we've been working on a new update to the city's general plan that would run through roughly the year 2050. We've brought this before the commission multiple times. Most recently, you reviewed the whole policy package, which is really the meat of the general plan. You reviewed that in May, provided comment. We are now to the point where we're releasing the sort of the public review draft for the general plan that contains all of those policies and then a collection of supporting information. We will be releasing the draft general plan along with the draft environmental impact report and the draft climate action plan that you also looked at the last couple of months this Friday. So that's going to be released to the public. We'll send you all a link to those documents so that you can see them. We will have them out for public comment for a 45-day period. Any comments should be sent to Jesse Hernandez, who you know is our staff who's working on that. So for our 45-day period through September 9th, we will be taking comments on all 3 of those documents. Jesse Hernandez is, you can send your comments to her at her email, jhernandez@fairfield.ca.gov. So that'll be out on the street. There will be one presentation to you, particularly on the EIR itself and its conclusions. We haven't discussed that part with you yet. We've had scoping meetings, but we will bring to you an overview of the EIR itself and the conclusions that it's found regarding the environmental impacts, and give members of the public a chance to comment on the record on the EIR. That will be at your next meeting. We have an extra Wednesday in July, so that's 3 weeks from now. So we'll send you out those links on Friday. 3 weeks from now, we'll come back. We'll take public comments specifically on the EIR, the portion that hasn't been reviewed yet by the Planning Commission. And then that keeps us on track so that we can come back ideally in October before the Planning Commission for the formal review by the Commission of the general plan and those other documents and your recommendation to the City Council. So big news. We're excited to get to this point. It's a major milestone. Let's see. Yeah, sure, Commissioner.
Will there be town halls?
Oh, yes,
for
thank you.
that? And what type
Yes,
of
thank you
community
for-
involvement
Yes,
for
we
public
we will
comment?
have a public workshop for the general, for all of those documents, for the public to come in. They'll get a presentation. They'll have a chance to review and provide any comments back to staff and our consultants. That will be on Saturday, August 24th at 11 a.m. It will be at the Fairfield Civic Center, Lakeside, rooms A and B, 11 a.m. It'll be open for a couple hours, so we'll be there spending time with folks. You can show up anywhere between 11 and 1, learn more about it, put your comments in. And so on a Saturday, we think, hopefully most people will be available if they're interested. Thank you for asking. I apologize for
And then
missing that item.
one other question, are there any virtual options for citizens to attend?
There aren't any virtual options scheduled, for our EIR. Certainly they can come, but, attend this meeting by Zoom. Staff's available if anybody wants to speak with us, though, at any point during that period. Jesse Hernandez or myself, we're happy to spend some time talking with anybody.
Thank you.
A couple other items I want to mention for our downtown. The city's put a lot of effort into revitalizing our downtown. We have a number of improvements we've made to the downtown, lighting, bollards so we can close off the street. We've changed a number of the streets from two-way to one-way to add additional parking in the downtown, and we are really pleased to note that over the next couple weeks, there will be grand openings for 2 new businesses in downtown. One is a bike shop downtown, so really excited to have a bike shop opening. And then the Cedars Bar and Kitchen, directly across the street from Rust Water. So we're starting to get at that corner or that little block, a little collection of some places, a little nightlife in the downtown. They've had a soft opening, so feel free to stop in there. They did a great job, really elegant facility. So encourage folks to come to our downtown, visit our 2 new businesses opening.
That's 801, right?
801, correct, 801 Texas. Yep. Okay, and finally, I'm also, I don't know if excited is the right word, but we've been a little quiet with our schedule here with the commission. Things are really heating up. We have lots of items coming your way, at least the next 3 meetings, if not continuing on into October. We've got items tracking for you. So keep your Wednesdays available for your planning commission duties, because we've got lots of items coming your way. So with that, I will conclude my presentation or my comments.
Thank you. Any comments from commissioners?
Yes, I just wanted to say, this was, this is my first planning commission meeting, and I just want to say it is an incredible honor to sit here on the dais with my fellow planning commissioners, and just wanted to say that I'm thankful to be here. I'm very excited to serve with you guys and do best long term. So.
Noted, and we appreciate your enthusiasm. If there are no other comments?
I do. Oh,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to.
I think
That's all right, go ahead.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Go.
No, I just wanted to say congratulations, welcome. We're excited to have you. And then a couple community event things. Butter Pecan opened downtown to amazing rave reviews, and I went to that grand opening. I think you were there too, late. Yeah, and there was at least 100 people waiting to go in when they opened their doors. Came back, went to lunch, came back, and there was still another line, long. So I went back the next day when they opened, and the line was out the door. So it's great to see the excitement downtown, and with 801 opening, and just the synergy that we're starting to see downtown is really exciting. And I encourage you that when Ms. Ballard sends out invitations to community events, that if you can get there, it's great to show the Planning Commission cares and shows that we're involved in our community, and let them know, because they really like it when we go there and we show up, because it's just, I think it's important for us to be out there and seen as well. So that's all I have to say tonight.
Commissioner Greavy?
Welcome, both of you. Know you both, and I'm excited to have you both on the board with us. Secondly, talking about the Cedars Bar and Grill, we're having a ribbon cutting, I guess, on Friday at 11. And a buddy of mine just went there and ate, and he said the food was actually very good. And he was very impressed. There's 20 some odd types of beer taps there currently, and another 20 to go. So anyway, he did say the food and the service was outstanding.
I'm always missing the openings because of my work schedule, so just for the record, that's why if you don't see me, that's the reason. Hearty and warm welcome to our new commissioners. It's a pleasure to have you serve. Congratulations to Commissioner Kennedy. And then also a very, very special thank you to Chairperson Matthew for his service. I think you've had 2 rounds since I've been on the dais, and so just want to thank you. Appreciate how you manage these meetings. I know it's not always easy, especially when there's a room full of people. So just really appreciate you. So thank you for your service.
Thank you, Commissioner Werblin. With that, we are adjourned to our next meeting. This says August 24th? August
14th.
14th.
Yes, August 14th.
Yeah, August 14th, 2024.
All done. But that's, is that?